President Trump activating the National Guard, sending the Marines to Los Angeles. Do you have concerns of what's happening, or do you support what is happening?
Well, look, I have lots of concerns about what's happening in California. You've seen the videos, you've seen what's happening out there, the riots, the chaos that is ensuing, things we saw 5 years ago, and things that should not be happening. And so I'm sympathetic to a president who wants to make sure that we're protecting lives and property and doing everything possible to make that happen. Obviously, there are responsibilities that fall on governors, responsibilities that fall on local leaders, and responsibilities that fall on our national leaders as well, and the president. The law seems pretty clear, although it looks like there's going to be a lawsuit and some debate about that. I do think it is legal for the president to do that. Whether it's wise or not, when things get out of control, somebody has to stop it. And so I'm grateful that we have a president who's willing to act to help stop that. We will not allow that type of rioting to happen here in Utah, here in our capital city, or anywhere else, and we'll be prepared to make sure that doesn't happen.
On the situation in California, what do you make of this argument that California tends to make about states' rights, that this is stepping on state authority, that they don't want it, they don't need it, and yet the president is doing this?
Well, again, the Constitution clearly states that the federal government does have the ability, and federal law also states that the federal government has the ability to call up National Guard troops from the states. And as a states' rights person, I don't love that. I wish the Constitution didn't say that, and I wish that the federal law doesn't say that, but it does say that. And so that always is an option. Now, Ben, as part of your question, you said the argument that they don't need it, and I think that's where the real argument is happening. I think they probably do need it. Again, I've seen the videos. The damage that is being done is unconscionable, and we can't have that in a civil society. It can't. Look, I want Utah to be the best place in the United States to protest. I want to do everything possible to protect the right of those who want to protest. We had protests on Saturday, this past Saturday or Sunday. I guess the protests were on Sunday. We're going to have apparently additional protests potentially on this Saturday, and I think that's wonderful. That's also part of the Constitution, the ability for people to show up and express their views and do so publicly, the right to assemble. I also want Utah to be the worst possible place to riot. The minute you start to spray paint the Capitol, the second you implement violence or property destruction, we will arrest you and we will hold you accountable, and we will break up the disturbance that is happening. We are going to be over prepared, and just a word of warning to anybody who is thinking about any type of violence or chaos or property damage or vandalism. It will not happen here, and you will be held accountable. So if you want to protest, this is a great place to protest. If you want to do that, go to California.
Governor, back to follow up on the LA riots. So allegedly, they were sparked by workplace raids by ICE, and that the governor and city officials were not notified before these raids. Going forward, as we see deportation efforts from the Trump administration ramp up, do you hope that any workplace raids that you would be notified as governor before they take place?
It's a good question. Look, I think obviously with any law enforcement action, you have to be very careful about who's notified and who's not. You run the risk of putting law enforcement at risk. And so I don't get notified when there are local raids happening for drugs or other things on businesses. And I don't need to know. I don't want to know. I trust my law enforcement and the good work that they're doing. Now obviously if something comes back that law enforcement did something wrong, then we deal with those repercussions. But I don't need a phone call every time something like that is going to happen. We've got good people out there wear uniforms, both local, state, and federal, and trust them to do their jobs.